Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
All participants.
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining us on the call, Sutapa Mataji and Sonal Mataji. And Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare-
And Vidyavadu Devi Dasi and Rohini Mataji for joining us on the Facebook here. And let's see if I have somebody joining us on Zoom.
Varsham.
I see one, and who is
Hare
that?
Krishna, Mataji.
Varshana Devi Dasi Mataji, Dandat Pranam, Jai Prabhupada. Okay, so we are all set and ready. I'm just going to go to our audio conference call and start the recording there also and do the muting, etc. And we'll get going there. Okay. So, and if you are in a noisy background, my humble request that you please mute yourself so that I don't get diverted from the talk. And here we go. Om Ajnanatimrandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurau Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Vipasindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye. So, welcome, dear devotees, to our call today. We have Preeti Radhika and Archana Mataji also who joined us, in addition to Sutapa and Sonal Mataji, who are joining us on the audio conference on our Facebook page. We have been joined, in addition to Vidyavadu Devi Mataji and Rohini, is Ms. Dham Prabhu and Sachishekar Prabhu. Thank you so much, and please accept my Dandat Pranams to all of you who are watching us. So we will start with the verse for today. We are reading from the Srimad-Bhagavatam, and the verse today is from the Srimad-Bhagavad-Gita, and the verse today is from the 6th chapter, which is Dhyan Yoga, and we are going to do verse number 6.41. So that is the chapter number 6 and verse number 41. And let me just grab the link for that and send that link to you here. So, and once you get that, please let me know whether you're able to see it or not. So, coming up on a WhatsApp near you. Okay. And if you can kindly confirm that you are getting and you're able to open the link over there. So, just give me a second here to push it out to you. So there are 47 verses, and we have been inching along on this all these days, and which is good. We are coming to towards the conclusion of this chapter, which is about Dhyan Yoga, but Krishna gives a very different conclusion towards the end of it. So that's the excitement that lies for us out there, and we will reach that soon over a few weeks. So if you can confirm that you got the
All participants are unmuted. Yes, Mataji, got it.
You got that? Okay. So let's get going here with the verse. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shaswati samaha suchinam shrimatam gehe yoga bhrashto bhijayate. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shaswati samaha suchinam shrimatam gehe yoga bhrashto bhijayate. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvati samaha suchinam srimatam gehe yoga bhrashto bhijayate. And the synonyms: prapya is after achieving, punya kritam of those who performed pious activities, lokan planets, ushitva after dwelling, shashvatihi many, samaha years, shuchi, sorry, I just lost that, shuchinam of the pious, shrimatam of the prosperous, gehe in the house, yoga bhrashta one who has fallen from the path of self-realization, abhijayate takes his birth. Translation: the unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of the rich aristocracy. So let's step back a little bit. It's always good to, all do a recap of what we have been reading all these days, because the more we do a recap, the more the information will stay inside our heads. And so repetition is good. In fact, Krishna also repeats certain things in the Bhagavad-Gita like that. And I think I have one noisy line there. So I'm going to, there are two lines that showing up as not muted and generating some sounds. I'm just going to mute that, but you can always unmute yourself. So in the Dhyan Yoga, this is a chapter about Dhyan Yoga. And Krishna was specified in the beginning. He said that one who's unattached to the fruits of his work, right? And he works according to his obligations, his varnashrama. He's actually a renounced person. So you do your duty, but do not think about the results of that. So that person is a true mystic, right? And a true, yogi. And not someone who just says that, I don't want to fight at all. And he says that when you renounce the results of your actions, then that is true yoga or true connection to the Lord. Right? And Krishna also says that in the fourth chapter, in the second chapter, Karmarne vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Right? So you have a right to perform your duty, but you cannot think about the result. So then he starts to talk about, how you can connect with the Supreme through Dhyana Yoga, which is the Eightfold Yoga system, the Ashtanga Yoga system. And he said that if you're starting in the devotional, in Dhyan Yoga, you're starting in the beginning and you're a neophyte there, then you should absolutely not give up your duties. You should do your duties, because that is the way for you to achieve any kind of a progress there. And then as you go through those stages and receive and reach a high stage of yoga, then it's okay whether you work or not work. But the interesting thing is that when you reach that high stage, then you don't really give up work, because now that you are a high level yogi and people start following you, so just to set an example for others, you'll continue to do the work. And then also in this chapter, Krishna talks about the mind, because Dhyan Yoga is all about the mind. Dhyan Yoga is how to put your mind on the Lord. And so he starts telling us about the mind, and he says that your mind is your worst enemy. And then it can also become the best friend, right? So he says that if we have to deliver ourselves from this material world, we have to utilize our mind to do that. And that is what the purpose is for the mind. We should use our mind to get out of this cycle of birth and death, get out of this world. And we should not use our mind to degrade ourselves. So degrade ourselves is when we start using our mind to generate thoughts that will give us more sense gratification in this material world. So he says we should not do that, right? And the mind is an enemy in the beginning. And why is the mind an enemy in the beginning? Because based on all our previous lives that we have led, all that the mind knows is to generate thoughts for sense gratification. So it becomes our enemy. It is our enemy in the beginning. But if we learn how to control the mind, if we learn how to control it, then the mind itself becomes our friend. Okay? And Dhyan Yoga is about looking and finding the super soul in our heart. And once we control our mind and not let it go into the material realm, then the dust which is there on the mirror of the mind, that dust gets clear. And that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpanam Marjana. So that dust gets clear from the mind, and then you'll be able to see the super soul in your heart. So when a person reaches that stage of, understanding that I'm the soul and then have seen the super soul, then he's a self-realized person, and he's also reached this perfection of yoga, mystic yoga. And he actually starts to see everything the same, because he sees the super soul everywhere. And then not only that, he also starts to treat everybody equally. whether a person is a pious personality, whether he's a sinner, whether he's your friend, whether he's inimical to you, they don't care. Because again, they see the super soul in everybody. So they're operating at that high level stage. Right? So how do we reach that particular stage? And that is that, no, if you're pursuing the Dhyan Yoga stage, there are so many steps, elaborate steps, which are defined, where you have to first go to a sacred place. It has to be secluded. You need to get kusha grass from somewhere. You have to put it on the ground. Then you have to put a deer skin on top of it. Now, the deer should not have been killed by you to get the skin. It should have died a natural death. Right? Then you put a soft cloth on top of it. Then where do you put this seed? It should be in a place which is neither too high nor too low, right? Like that. And then you sit on it very firmly. So sit properly over there. And then you practice the yoga of the Lord so that your heart can get purified. And then the step is that you start concentrating on the tip of your nose. Don't close your eyes completely because you're going to go to sleep like that. Right? You have to be celibate to be able to perform this type of yoga. Right? So you have to practice controlling your body. You don't move, control your mind, and whatever activities that you do, then you will be successful, because then your mature life will be finished. And although you might be in the mature body, but at least the enjoyment tendency, etc., will be gone, and you will become a perfect yogi. Some of the things to keep in mind for those who are pursuing this particular route is to make sure that you have a balanced life. And about the balancing, Krishna tells him, that you have to have a balance. Now, do you remember what balance Krishna is talking about? What types of balance what examples of balancing does he give? What should you be balanced on? And while I'm doing that, I'd like to welcome Garima Mataji, who joined us on the Zoom call. And I'm allowing you all to unmute yourself, Varshana and Garima Mataji. And then welcome to Divyangi, who joined us on Facebook, as well as Bimla Kumar. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any thoughts to share with us and your answers to any questions that I'm asking, and if you are on Facebook, you can always type your responses there. So my question was that Krishna is talking about maintaining a balance in life. And so what are the things that he's asking you to balance in life?
Like not much eating, not overeating, not less eating, not more sleeping, not less sleeping.
Okay. Hold the thought, Garima. And Priyanka spoke first on the Zoom, so I'm just trying to manage all these calls here. So Priyanka, can you please repeat, because I could not hear?
Sure, Mataji. So I was saying that I'm asking to balance our material and spiritual life, which means that we can do whatever is necessary for us to maintain our life, but then we should also keep doing the devotional service to connect with Krishna so that we can go back to him.
Can go back to him. Good. And Garima, you were saying something? You are on mute if you're saying something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was saying that to avoid too much eating or too less eating, too much sleep, too less sleep, all these balances.
Yes, very good, right? He says, Yuktahara viharasya, yukta sapna bodhasya, right? So he says you should be balanced in your eating, right? And so Priyanka kind of mentioned that, but she didn't elaborate on that. So she says that you have to maintain a balance in your mature life and do just as much as you have to do. So then, and Krishna is now telling you as much as you need to do where? And the sad news is that Krishna has said that you need to do only as much as you need on two things that we really like, and that one is eating the food and another is sleeping. Krishna said that don't do too much of either one of them like that, right? But that's the thing that you have to do. If you're pursuing the path of mystic yoga, of Dhyan yoga, it is difficult and it is impossible in this world, in this yoga, like that, right? So he's telling all these things. He says that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that, right? And you have to kind of like stay. And he gives a very strong example. He says like a lamp in a windless place. Like if you put a lamp where there's no wind, the flame of the lamp will not flicker. So your mind has got to be like that. And you should have full determination. You should have determination. You should have faith, like that, right? And that's what you will do, right? And get rid of all material desires that you have. And then slowly, shanay, step by step, he said that you will be able to achieve perfection. Now, of course, he knows us. He knows us, and that's why he says that if you feel that your mind is going away somewhere, right, then you have to bring it back. That's what we do when we are chanting also, right? That when the mind goes off and we realize that the mind has gone away somewhere, then we bring it back and we say, oh, right, fine, I'm going to start chanting again. I don't know where I left it. Okay, but from the next being onwards, I'm going to focus my attention. I'll try to hear what I chant, like that. So similarly here also, they're saying that, your mind will go away, but you have to bring it back. And then Arjuna, of course, has got some doubts. He says, and in a very nice, like a disciple, because he has already become his disciple of Krishna in chapter 2 of Bhagavad-Gita. So here's chapter 6. So he's saying that, Krishna, and he addresses him as Madhusudana for a particular reason, because he killed the demon Madhu, and doubts are also like demons. So he says that, please, you are telling me, but the system of yoga that you're telling me appears to me to be very difficult. To me, like, I don't think I'm capable of doing this. And he says he gives an example, and he says that it's almost as difficult as, and what's the example that he gives there? It is as difficult as to control the wind, right? He gives that example, right? And then Krishna says, Krishna accepts that. Krishna does not poo-poo him and say like, you know what, no, I don't think, you're just exaggerating the problem. No, he's saying that, yes, I agree with that. And I agree with you, but you will be able to overcome that obstacle that you have, right? What do you have to do? There are two things that he tells him to do. What are the two things he tells him to do? How will he overcome this thing that he's not able to control his mind? Two things, Krishna.
By practice and by detachment.
Yes, he says, good, Archana Mataji, by practice and by detachment, right? So you have to constantly do sadhana, practice, right? Like that. So he says, okay, we'll do the practice, and I don't know how long I'm going to do the practice. How many years I have to do the practice? And then what if I die? Now you have told me, Krishna, all this whole long list, starting with don't eat too much, don't sleep too much, be celibate. Like 75% of my enjoyment is gone. Nidra, ahar, mathunadi, all gone. So you have stopped, asked me not to do do anything like that in the material realm. And you asked me to focus my mind, and I was not able to do that. What if I'm not able to do that? What's going to happen to me? It's a very valid question, because you're investing your life in this, right? And what is the destiny? He gives the example. What example does he give of an unsuccessful yogi when he's asking that question?
Goes to
when Arjuna is asking a question, that what happens to such a yogi who is not successful? Does he perish like a, what does he say? What example? Riven cloud, right? Riven cloud, that's the word I was looking for, right? Does he perish like a riven cloud? Because if a cloud is a small one, right, and not yet become a big one, so you're a small yogi, you're not yet become a big yogi, then what are you going to do, right? To survive, you have to join the bigger cloud, and you were not able to do that, right? So what do? I'm unsuccessful in my yoga practice, and I died. What's going to happen to all these things that I've done, right? So then Krishna is starting to answer. And he says that in the previous verse, what he said was that he said that two good things. He said that he will not meet destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. Right? He doesn't do that. Very famous sentence he used that one who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. So that's a very reassuring thing, that sometimes the results might not come immediately. Sometimes it might even take a lifetime or 2 lifetimes for the results to come. But the general continuum is there, that one who does good is never overcome by evil. So that's a very reassuring thing. Jahan Krishna Surya Sam Mahaya Nahi, Maya hai andhakar, jahan Krishna, tahan nahi mayera adhikar. So if you are good and you're on the Krishna side, then Maya won't be able to do, to you. So the more we strengthen our relationship with Krishna, the better it is in our fight against Maya. So then today, in our text from today, which is text number 41, Krishna is saying two things. So he's saying the unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after a little progress, and one is fallen after long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets, where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in a family of a righteous Brahmana, Vaishnava, or aristocratic merchants. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed by the grace of the Lord to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. So there you go. The cat is out of the bag. Krishna has told us this secret, right? That what happens if you are unsuccessful, what happens to you after death, like that, right? So before we talk about after death and what happens, we have to first analyze and see, why do you think a yogi would be unsuccessful? You start the yoga, after all, Dhruv Maharaj, saw Krishna in 6 months, right? So why do you think we fail in our endeavor?
Like Mataji, Bharat
Hold on, Archana, to the thought. Vashana is speaking here. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Bharat Maharaj, Mataji, he was such a great yogi, and when he went and he got involved in the deer, and his whole endeavor did not go waste, but it stopped there, and again he had to take birth as a deer and then as a Jad Bharat. And after that, you see, it took such a long time to come to that level. But it did not stop, because from where he stopped, he started again.
Yeah, but the question was, why do we fail? So Archana, you have something there? Hold on, Varshana.
Attachment.
Hold on, Varshana. Yeah.
Mataji, can I speak now?
Yeah, I'm asking you to speak. Yeah,
Yeah, Mataji. When a yogi he becomes unsuccessful transcendentalist, maybe the reason can be like he still has, desires and he still want to enjoy, the material world. So maybe that can be the reason he doesn't want to, give full engagement into the service of the Lord.
Okay. So he doesn't want to give up everything, and so there are some desires to do, right? There are some desires
He still want to enjoy the material, life.
Okay, so there are some desires to do some enjoyment there.
Yeah.
Some material enjoyment, right? What else, Varshana Mataji? Is there anything else?
Attachment, Mataji. He had the attachment with the deer.
Okay.
And so
it could be attachment, right? Attachment, says Neha Mataji. Neha, right? Okay. I'm watching the answers there.
Chantal Moon, like Maya is still there, so Maya is working, so he cannot just get rid of the classes of the Maya.
Is Maya still there? So you're not fully surrendered to Krishna, right? 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 So Krishna had very clearly delineated the path, right? He has said that you get up there, you sit there, you close your eyes, and then you think, right? Some of us might even fail in doing that. Like every morning we'll say, where is my kusha grass mat? I don't know where it is. Sometimes you get up in the morning and say, where's my bead bag? I don't know where the bead bag is, right? If a person is careless, right? If you have got anarthas which are there in you, right? All the anarthas that are in us have to be cleared. And as long as those anarthas are there, we will not be successful in our devotional service, right? So we have to get rid of all the anarthas that we can have. What are some of the anarthas that you have, that one can have? Bad habits.
Wavering minds.
Bad habits. Yeah. Give me some concrete examples.
Anger, greed, illusion, lust.
Yeah, lust, anger, greed, illusion, etc. Right? So we have to be very watchful. We have to be very watchful of, where our thoughts are going, and thoughts lead to actions, right? And actions lead to habits, and habits lead to character, and character leads to destiny. So whether you are going to be like Dhruv Maharaj and go back in 6 months, or whether we are going to take birth after birth after birth, will follow this particular cycle. So our destiny, whether we are destined to stay here, or ever, or we're going to come out, get the escape velocity to get out of this material world, like a rocket, right? Rocket needs some sort of a thirst to get out of the orbit of Earth and then go outside, like that, the gravitational pull of Earth. So similarly, we need to have that kind of a thirst in us to be able to escape out of this material world. And if not, then the destination is there. And Krishna told, right? If you are unsuccessful, depending on where you are, right? If you're unsuccessful anyway, you're not going to go back to Godhead. You won't see the super soul in your heart, and nothing like that. But you're not going to go to Vaikuntha planets, but you will go to some material planet which is slightly higher there. Okay? So this is very, very important, and that's why you have to be always alert and always very, very vigilant on what our thoughts are, because you have to catch them in the beginning itself, nip them in the bud before the thoughts become actions, and actions become habits, and habits become, when it comes to habits, one of the things that we have to remember and keep in our mind is that a habit is something that kind of forces us to do it, right? It's like I'm completely tied by my habit. I cannot do anything. It forces me to do it. Like if I have a habit of drinking alcohol, then I won't even know when the bottle was opened and poured into the glass and I gulped down 6 gulps like that. Right? It is like that. The habit is like that. It's got almost like a godlike power over you. So these habits, these small, small actions, they combine together, and when they repeat, right? When they repeat, they combine together and become a rope, like a rope that ties you to that particular bad activity, if it's a bad habit. Okay. Now the good news is that you are in a world of duality. So if you're saying that if you're using the term bad habit, this means there should be something also known as good habit, right? So we can have bad habits, we can have good habits. So what should we do? Okay? We have to take inventory. We must take inventory, sit down and in a quiet corner and really be honest with ourselves and really sit down and write what our bad habits are. Right? And then, we need to work on them. Now, when it comes to bad habits and saying, I need to work on them, it might not be possible for me to just work on them just like that on my own. Right? We need help. And that is where the concept of mentor comes into picture. We need to have mentors there. Very, very important thing for us to do. Somebody who can guide us. So when it comes to this anartha nivritti, don't be like King Bharat, As Vaishana Mataji was pointing out, that King Bharat was all alone and he got attached to a deer, right? But he was doing it all alone. And because he was doing it all alone, nobody was there to tell him that, you know what, you are doing willful neglect of your devotional service. Willfully, you are doing it. So we have to catch, we have to observe, right? Willing comes much later, right? There's thinking, there's feeling, there's willing, and then there's action. So you willed it, and now you're neglecting your devotional service. So we have to be careful about that, right? And then you should also have, sometimes people say, you know, some of us try to get away with this by saying, yeah, I know I have this bad habit. What do I do? I can't get away from it. Okay? So you should also have a desire to overcome that anartha. It's very, very important. And Rajashekar Prabhu in his lectures always, when it comes to desires to do devotional service of any kind, he always says that you should have a house on fire desire. What does it mean to have a house on fire desire? Is that if you are in a country, or if you're in a place where people around you speak a different language. For example, if I go and move to Russia, I don't know how to speak Russian, right? I'm going and living there in Russia and my house catches fire. So obviously I need help, but I can't speak Russian. But that doesn't mean that I will let my house burn because I don't speak Russian. I will figure out a way to communicate with the people that my house is on fire, right? I will run to a neighbor, I'll make gestures, I'll do this, I'll do that, right? To tell them that my house is on fire. So we figured a way out to get out of that situation. Similarly here also, we are in a situation. What is our situation? Would anybody like to elaborate? What is our situation? Here, Iha. Krishna says so many times, Iha, mean on this material world. What is our situation?
We are entangled in so many desires and attachments.
Yeah, so we are completely entangled, right? We are entangled in this material world. We have been awarded these senses. And what the senses do? Kamadhinam katina katita palita durnideshas tesham jata maina karuna natripano pashanti. So this is that, you know, I am a slave of my senses, and the senses are very bad masters. And they do not give me a day off like that. That is what my situation is. So the sooner we realize that this is what my situation is, then I should have a house and fire desire to get out of it. So it is not like a laid back approach. Okay, I'm a riven cloud, doesn't matter, you know. Yeah, I will get blown away. What to do? The wind is so strong. No, the desire to do devotional service has to become strong. And so how do you think you're going to make your desire strong?
Association with devotees.
Association with devotees is going to make your desire strong. Very good. What else?
Listening Krishna Katha.
Listening Krishna Katha, right? So why do you listen to Krishna Katha?
KK is directly proportional to KC.
Can you elaborate on that Vedic aphorism that you gave us just now, the sutra?
Krishna Katha will lead you to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, your willingness and your desire to listen to Krishna Katha is directly proportional to your Krishna consciousness. So the more you develop a desire to listen to Krishna Katha, this means that you are progressing in Krishna consciousness. Because in the beginning, we have absolutely no desire to listen to Krishna Katha. We are all like, fine, I have hundreds of other things to do. Can we talk later? You know, I have this work to do, I have that work to do, I have a headache. So all those kinds of things are there. So we have to read the scriptures, and scriptures coming from an authenticated source. Because people will create their own religions. They create their own philosophies. People create their own Bhagavad-Gita. I mean, I know of a sect that created their own Srimad-Bhagavatam, which was a subset of the Bhagavatam that we have, spoken by Shraddha-devi Goswami. And all that they were saying is that you can read this chapter and that chapter, and don't read this canto and don't read that canto like that. No. If you're having faith in somebody's word, then you have to believe in that person totally. So if you have to listen to Krishna's words totally. It's not like, one part I will ignore and one part I won't ignore. So if you are doing dhyana yoga, then if he's saying place a kushagras, then you place a kushagras, right? It's like army. There's no question to be asked there. Okay? The Shastras sometimes will tell you things which will be exact opposite of what people might think in a worldly way. We are reading the Bhagavad-Gita in the mornings where we are talking about, or we talked about Arjuna, full of compassion, his eyes full of tears, says, I do not want to, fight them, right? I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight this war. So on the face of it, when you're looking at it from, the good perspective, Arjuna is excellent. Actually, he's fantastic, right? When Krishna took the chariot between the two armies, and he said that, Uvach partha paschyetan samvetan kurunati. So he said that, okay, look at them. So the idea was that when you're going to look at all the Kauravas, you're going to remember what they did to your wife. You're going to remember what they have been doing to you throughout your life. They have been always trying to scheming and planning to kill you, the Laksha Graha, the poisoning of your brother, so on and so forth. Arjuna, look at that. But then the opposite happened. Complete opposite thing happened. Arjuna looks at them, and what does he see? He sees something different. He sees his spiritual master. He sees his grandfather. And he becomes full of compassion, and he gives such a long speech, verses after verses after verses. He tells him why he should not kill. Right? How can I kill my teacher? How can I kill my relatives? It's better they kill me unarmed. What's going to happen to the women? What's going to happen to people who are going to be born later? They don't get to have a grandfather, so on and so forth. So Arjuna seems to be saying some certain things which are absolutely right. So if you don't go to the right source, right, you will be a failure. So we have to go to the right source, because the scriptures, which is Bhagavad Gita in this case, tells exactly the opposite thing. Krishna actually asked him to kill, right? Which is such a bad thing from the mundane perspective. But as you go deeper into it and you start looking at the spiritual aspect of it, and you realize that spiritual is the one that is unending and is the reality, then you will take a very different action. So it's very, very important to stay in touch with the scriptures. And so when you read the scriptures and you see Krishna saying those things, and you see associations of devotees, that people are also following that, then your determination will be strengthened. On the other hand, if you go and talk to those who are not determined and who are the faithless, then you will have trouble. Because you will catch from them, and after some time, you will imbibe their qualities, and you will also, become a non-devotee. You'll also start having doubts. Right? So Krishna says that in the Bhagavad-Gita chapter 3 also, that you get into a self-defeating behavior there. So you have to do that. Sometimes we have got impulses. We have got anarthas inside us. They impel us to do that. But we have to philosophically understand that. And then we have to make it a habit that, we should have devotion. We should do, we should have determination and think. It is very important for us to think. How many of us have got time to pause and think? What is this life full of care? We have no time to stand and stare. No time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep and cows, right? We don't have time. Prabhupada said, chronic disease of mankind, no time. But we have to deliberate. And deliberate, the word deliberate has got the word liberate in it. And deliberate is where you weigh the things, you weigh the two options. What if I don't pursue this route, of devotional service? And what if I pursue this right? So you find the pros and the cons. You have to think intently. Deliberation is thinking about the pros and cons of it. Okay? All right, you can say, I can't control my mind. Well, so let's just see what's going to happen if you don't control your mind. And what's going to happen if you control the mind and you figure it out, which is better for you. Okay? And along the way, somebody might just say, well, why should I control the mind? This life is meant for enjoying. And that is where the scriptures will come in, and association will come in, where the scriptures are going to tell you what is right, what happens from overindulgence. The scriptures will tell you that. Right? So, scriptures will also tell you what you should do and what you should not do. Right? And this is what Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna is telling Arjuna, what you should do. If you are going to be a Dhyan yogi, what you should do. So what are the things he is telling him to do? Give me a few words here and there. What are the things he's telling us to do? For a Dhyan yogi, what does a Dhyan yogi do?
Concentrate mind.
Yes, okay. And before he sits down to concentrate the mind, what are some of the other things that he's telling him?
He has to go to the secluded place.
Yes, very good, Sudapa Mataji. He has to go, he has to find a secluded place, right?
And get kusha grass.
Yeah, he has to get the kusha. Yeah, so he has to make all these arrangements, right? So these are the do's. If you are in Dhyan Yoga, these are some of the things that you are supposed to do, right? And what does he say don't do?
Then don't do that.
High or too low.
Okay, this is like don't put it too high, don't put it too low. Okay, so that's a don't. What else is he saying? Very, very powerful.
Don't eat too much, don't do that.
Don't eat too much and too little.
Don't
Yes.
sleep too much.
Don't sleep too much and too little. Yes. And what else does he say? Don't. A big don't. You got sleeping, you got eating. What else?
Don't associate with the worldly minded people.
Okay, don't associate worldly minded people. But about eating, sleeping, what else does it stop you? Mating, right? He says you have to be a celibate, and which is a stark difference between Dhyan Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. In Bhakti Yoga, you can be a grihastha, right? But in Dhyan Yoga, if you're not celibate, you're gone. It's gone. It stopped, done, finished. What happened to Vishwamitra? He was meditating, right? And then what happened? Who came?
Menaka.
Menaka came.
Right? Menaka came. And that's it. His mind went here and there, right? And then he met, he started living with her. So finished. He had to go back and start again, right? So for the duration that he was with Menaka, there was nothing happening on the yogic front for him. That's very, very important to remember that. So we have to find out so these are the do's and don'ts. The scriptures are going to tell you the do's and don'ts, right? If you just go and ask any ordinary person, they might be very lenient with you and be very lenient about about the don'ts. Yeah, that's fine, yeah, but an occasional glass of wine is okay, like that. Doctors tell us that these days. Instead of saying no, you should not start, because how do the habits form? Like I said, habits become a rope. And each of these actions is one little glass here, one little glass there, one little glance of the opposite gender, like that. They will start layering on one on top of the other, one on top of the other, one on top of the other. Till it becomes such a thick rope that it's very difficult to break it. So we have to nip it in the bud, like that. Right? So have a regiment, because if you have got bad habits, one thing is to stop the bad habits, but this mind is overactive, right? So it has to be engaged. So while you are getting rid of your bad habits, you also have to engage your mind in some good habits, right? So you have to do some good things along the lines of devotion. So what are some of the good things that you can do along the lines of devotion? Read the scriptures, okay.
Eat prasadam.
Okay, honor prasadam. Chant, okay. Right? And also develop some good habits, like being kind to other people, being compassionate to other people, speaking the right things, helping things out, doing some service, right? All these things are the positive things that you have to do. So what happens is that because you are engaging in this, why is service so important? Service is so important because When you are serving, then you are thinking about the service. And when you are serving Krishna, you are thinking about Krishna indirectly. This, which means that when you are thinking about Krishna, you are not thinking about anything else. Because at a given point in time, and it can be a very small point in time, like these days we talk a lot about multitasking, and women especially say that, I was ironing the clothes and I was also listening to the lecture, and I was also talking on the phone, I was also checking my mail, like that. But the reality is that at a given point in time, you're only doing one thing. Either you're ironing with your right hand, or you're texting with your right hand. You can't be doing both at the same time. You might do it very fast that nobody knows, like I was ironing and stop and say okay and then come back and iron. But the time it took for you to go and type that okay there on your WhatsApp message, at that time you were doing WhatsApp messaging. You were not ironing your clothes. So we have to remember that at a given point of time, we do only one thing. And so we do what is known as a thought substitution. So we will bring in, newer thoughts so that the better thoughts, so that the bad old ones don't get a chance to be revived. Because the thoughts are there, the bad thoughts are there, good thoughts are there. After some time, they go into the subconscious, and then they get revived from the subconscious again and again. So the more you do good things, the more the good thoughts are going to be revived from your subconscious and be brought into your mind. And so the bad thoughts, they will go deeper and deeper and deeper into your subconscious, so that after some time they are lost, right? And they stop to surface on the mirror of your mind, like that, right? So what does Krishna say here? What happens to a yogi who was not very advanced? What does he say in the purport? He says there are two classes, right?
One that falls down after a short period of practice, and one that falls out after a long period of practice.
Right.
And then they get born in a Vaishnava family or Brahminical family, from where they can pick up and are more conducive to their practice, to continue Krishna consciousness.
Okay, good. So after little progress, they go, right. Where do they go? They go to the higher planets. Okay. So what does higher planets mean? They are still planets in the material world. They've not gone into the Vaikuntha planets, etc. They don't make the trip there till you are qualified. So you can't go to the spiritual planet unless you are qualified to do that. Actually, even to go to the higher planets, you need some qualifications. And that's why Prabhupada used to laugh when there were reports coming in that people have landed on the moon, because you need some qualification to land in those planets like that. So they go to the higher planets. So in the higher planets, what's going to happen is that there'll be some good things for you to enjoy. After all, why were we unsuccessful? And you said that one of the reasons that we are unsuccessful is that because we had some desires. So they will be elevated to a higher planet where there will be more opulence, etc. And they will be given a chance to fulfill their desire. Because unless our desires are fulfilled, right, we can't give them up. Either they are fulfilled, or we get another higher desire that we now desire even more, like a more bigger house and fire desire, right? For example, if a person has a desire to, build big houses and live in big houses, and then he somehow comes into devotional service, now he wants to become a big devotee. So now he's got a bigger, fire burning in him. So the desire to build a house will kind of, be sidetracked and sidelined and be buried deep in his desire, like that. So because the desires are there, he'll go there to the higher planets. Now the question to be asked here is that, don't the Karam-kandi people who do all kinds of, Vidyamam Soma Paputa Papa Yagye Ishva Swargatim Pratayante. So those who are doing all these Karam-kandi activities, they also go to the higher planets, like, Swarg is a higher planet. They also go to the higher planet. And this yogi who was trying to do devotional service, poor thing, he failed. And he also goes to the same planet. So what is the difference? What is the difference between the two? Right? Okay, Vashani?
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
so the yogi comes down, but his destination is confirmed that he will go to a more conducive place where he can begin, continue Krishna consciousness. But a person who's not a yogi can be born in any species or any other condition, depending upon
Yes, yes. And that's the point that Krishna is making over here, is that because why does a Karam Kandi person go to the heavenly planets? He was not doing devotional service at all. He was in Dharma Artha, that stage only. He was doing these pious activities so that he can get something, right? He had his desires. So one of the desires was to enjoy maybe a special fruit which is not available in this earth. And so you will go to the heavenly planets, you will enjoy it. And then you will fall down here. And like Preeti said, any place you can fall down when when your pious credits are expired. Te punya ashad surendra lokam. Right? So they go there to Surendra Lok. Surendra is another name of Indra. So they go there to the heavenly planets, and when their pious credits are exhausted, they come back, right? They come back to this material world. And when they come back to the material world, the difference is that they will, since they are Karam Kandis, that's all they know. So, and their desire going to the heavenly planet just covered some of their desires. But they're going to come back down again here, and they're going to continue to pursue the other desires through those pious activities, Karam Kandi activities. And again go to the higher planets and again come down. Again go to the higher planet, again come down. Which what Prahlad Maharaj says, Punar Punar Charvita Charvanana. That's all you're doing. Brahmande Brahmite. You're loitering in this material world. Like that. Right? But if you are a devotee of the Lord and you're trying to go after the super soul, then if for whatever reason you were not able to complete it, you were a beginner and you died and left the body, then you will be elevated to the higher planets, right? And why we were not able to complete it was because we had material desires and they were giving us trouble. So we go there to the higher planets, we fulfill our material desires, and then we come back. And now that particular material desire is not going to bother us because it's fulfilled, right? And we will continue in our progress. And as devotional service continues, then the material desires will also continue to recede there. And then in the over here, right? So he's born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy, right? And then in the purport, let's just read the second purport, the second paragraph of the purport. Prabhupada says, the real purpose of yoga practice to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, and that will be explained in the last verse. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and fall because of material allurements are allowed by the grace of God to make full utilization of their material propensity. So finish it off, right? Get done with that. After that, they're given opportunities to live in righteous or aristocratic families, as you pointed out, Preeti. But then Prabhupada says, those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. Now, what is the dangerous word in what appears to be a very promising sentence? In the last sentence in the purport, can you tell me what is the dangerous word there?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. When they are born in such families where they can take the facility, advantage of the facilities, at the same time, he can get deviated also of those facilities and fall down in his, in advancing in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. So, but the question I was asking was that in this sentence, which is such a promising sentence, right? That
Yeah.
I was a high level of a yogi, and then I fall down, right, and not fall down. Yeah. So not fall down. It was not a fall down. It was sort of like I died, and so I got elevated to the higher planets, and then here comes this nice statement that after you finish off your stay in the higher planet, you're coming back and you're being born into a very nice family, right? But my question is, now listen carefully to my question. My question is saying, in this very promising statement, which is there in the last line of the purport, what is the dangerous word that you should watch out for? So I don't want you to speculate. Exactly right, Sonal Mataji. May is the dangerous word. It is not saying that you will be born into a family, into a righteous and a highly high class family, but he's still saying that even after being born over there, you may take advantage, which means that you may not also take advantage.
Not also, right?
That is the dangerous path. So we have to take things seriously. We should not just say, oh, fine, I'll have a nice little trip to the heavenly planets. And in any case, I'm going to come back here, right? And Atma, I'm not going to die, right? It's just, I'll be changing clothes, right? This body to that body, that's no big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal because, so we need to finish off our project as much as possible in this life itself and not stall it to other places, other lifetimes like that, right? So for example, Prabhupada's sister had a sister, right? She took full advantage of the fact that she had such an exalted brother, right? But can you give me an example of who did not take advantage of being in a family?
His own wife and children.
There you go, right? So you see, even after you are placed in such a situation, there's no guarantee like that, right? So Ashwathama, we're reading about Ashwathama. I mean, even on a mundane plane, Ashwathama was the son of Dronacharya. Dronacharya was a teacher who would teach military science to people, right? And his father taught him, like, this is the way you release the Brahmas, then this is the way you retract it. He did not take full advantage. He did not memorize the whole thing and see what happens to him, right? Like that. So we have to be very, very cognizant of the fact that, you know, coming back to this material world itself is bad because Maya is very, very strong. Maya is very, very strong, and it just catches us, right? And there's a verse from Srimad-Bhagavatam that, you know, which is a little bit assuring here. And I'm just going to share that verse with you all, and I'm going to put it on the WhatsApp group so that you can tell me whether you got it or not. So here it's coming up on our WhatsApp, and let's see who can get that.
Got it, Mataji.
Okay, here we go. Thank you, Vaishana Mataji. And let's read this verse. So here in this verse says, my dear Vyas. So who is this talking? This is Narada Muni talking to his disciple Vyasdev. Says, my dear Vyas, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like other fruitive workers, etc. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again, right? So this is a positive thing. This is a positive reinforcement that will come from Krishna towards us, right? From us, because when we take one step to Krishna, he will take 10 steps to us. Now we have tasted that, and he has designed it in such a way that, you know, we will have a tendency not to give it up. But the may word is still over there, that we may not do it. It's a big dicey question. So better to finish up our activities as soon as we can. Like that. Yeah. So I will stop now over here and open it up for questions and reflections for you. Those of you who are watching us on the internet, Facebook or Zoom, please, you know, chime in with your questions. And of course, on the audio conference call, you can let us know as well. And while we're waiting for you to share your reflections and your questions, I'd like to welcome those who joined us later. And so welcome to the call, Aparna Mataji. Aparna, so happy to have you, Apara Gorangi. Sorry, that was a legal name shown there. And Swati Mataji from India, Vani Mataji here, Kalyan Prabhu, okay, Koladeep Pran Prabhu, Dandat Pranam. So happy to have you here. Raja Prabhu, Madan, thank you so much for joining the call. Please accept my Dandat Pranam. And then I see that you were responding earlier about chanting and meditate. Yeah, those are very good choices and are the choices for us in this Kali Yuga. The good things to do. And Malti Devi Dasi Prabhu, thank you so much for joining the call. It's indeed my honor to have you, and I hope one day you can join the Zoom call and share your wonderful experiences. For those of you who don't, you know, are not very familiar with ISKCON, Malti Devi Dasi Prabhu is a very dear devotee of Srila Prabhupada, and she has dedicated her entire life to Krishna consciousness. We always take very deep and heavy inspiration from her all the time. And then also Amulya Goda, thank you so much for joining. All right, so yeah, go ahead. And this is Priyanka. Okay. Yes,
I have a reflection and a follow-up question.
Okay, good.
I really like the point where in the what you stressed and what you stressed in that purport that we may fall down again after coming back to this material world, and that kind of again puts a stress on to have the house on fire desire for us and realize that we have to utilize this time in this life and go back. But then, Mataji, my question is that although my brain understands it by hearing and by reading and from the devotees, but why I can't just feel it, and what should I do to help myself so that I can get that feeling from my heart?
Yeah, good question. And all of us go through that. So there's one thing to understand things theoretically, and other thing is to realize it, right? And to realize it, you have to be there. But the problem is that I'm not able to be there at that stage, right? So when I first came to America about 25 years ago, I ordered some Chinese food. I was stuck in a hotel, so I ordered some Chinese food. And when they brought the Chinese food, it was like all boiled vegetables and some sticky rice. I'd never seen sticky rice in my life, because for me, rice meant that every grain of rice should be, separate in the rice bowl. So, basmati rice kind of thing. I had never seen sticky rice in my life. And so both me and my daughter, we we closed our nose and we somehow ate that, because it was like, ew, how did we eat it? And now 25 years later, that is my favorite thing to do, like sticky rice and, non-spicy vegetables like that. So why this change? It is associating, right? So if you are not getting that bhava, right, you're not getting that thing in your heart that I should also do that, then you should associate with people. Associate with those who have a house and fire desire. When you see them doing it, then you can follow them. Don't imitate them, but follow them, right? For example, I know of devotees who chant 32 rounds, or every Ekadashi they would chant 32 rounds. And I used to think that, oh, that's a very good thing. But I know I can't do that. I have other commitments that I need to do. But what you can do is you can follow them. And what that means is that try to do something like what they do. So they are on 32, they are on the way to go and do 64 on Ekadashi day. You can jump from your 16, you can go to 18, and then 20 the next Ekadashi, 24 the next Ekadashi. So what is happening is that you're not imitating them and trying to do 32 and falling flat on the face, getting disgusted with the whole process. But what you're doing is that slowly, according to your own convenience, you're bumping it up, but you're still observing that one devotee, because you will watch them, you will watch their ecstasies, and then you like to do it yourself. And because you're already in that path, you will reach it like that. So association of devotees is very, very important, both to get impetus from them for the goods that they do, and then also observing them. Our anarthas will also disappear, because some of the things we do because of habit, but then we see that they don't do it, right? For example, when something falls down from the hand, if you are working in the kitchen, and so I remember when I was, I think 12 or something like that, these slangs from America started coming into India, and we started picking them up. We were teenagers, started picking them up. So when I was 12, I learned ouch, the word ouch. And before that, nobody used to say ouch, right? They would say, oh, sorry, or something like that, if something dropped. But then ouch was a cute word, so we picked up ouch, like that. So when I came to the temple and I was helping somebody cook in the kitchen, and I used to observe how they are cooking and things like that. So somebody dropped utensils, and so many times, you drop this thing or that thing. And I noticed that, I would go like, ouch. And the rest of the devotees will go, oh, Krishna. So you see the bad habit of saying ouch and ouch and ouch by just observing them, and, then, practicing it. And of course, for every 3 Krishnas, oh Krishnas, one ouch would come, because it's a habit, right? But slowly, the habit goes away, and then you just start saying ouch. And it's purely because of devotional service, and also having a desire that I want to emulate Mahajana Yena Gatha Sapanta, emulate the Mahajans, emulate the good ones, right? And if at all you see when you are there, even if you have a mentor and you're emulating the mentor, you have a role model, you're emulating the role model. Sometimes your role models might come and do something negative, right? And when they go and do something negative, then apichet suduracharo bhaste mam ananya bhag sadhu eva samantavya. This is the verse that we should actually cling to in our devotional life, and that is never ever criticize a devotee, because when we criticize the devotees, it's a big Vaishnava aparad, and all the sukriti that we have gathered, there's a big chance that it will get completely destroyed.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, like that. So try these 2 things. Be close to and be watchful of your mind, because the mind will tell you 600 other things, why you should not come for Krishna Katha, why you should not chant, why you should, do this and not that. Just be watchful. And it's a very standard answer. And then, of course, you can, when you have a house and fire desire, for example, if you have a house and fire desire for something material, what do? We work hard for that. But then we also pray, right? Chaturveda bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna. 4 types of people come to Krishna. Artho, Jigyasu, Artharthi. The Artharthis also go to Krishna. So the Artharthis can go to Krishna and ask him to give them a Tesla car or a big bungalow, 5 bedrooms, all that kind of stuff. Then you can also go to Krishna and ask for devotional service. Right? He's the single source. He's the Eko Bahunam Yoga Dadati Kaman. He's the one who provides to everybody. He will give you. Just ask with sincerity, like that. Yeah. So thank you for asking that wonderful question.
Thank you, Mataji, for answering.
Any other thoughts and reflections? We are 12 minutes over the hour. Just want to sensitize you. And let me check on. Okay. Yeah. All right. Say that, Preeti. And people are not able to hear you on the. Those who are watching us on Facebook can't hear those who are on the audio, so I might repeat your thing, Preeti. So for the benefit of those who are watching us on Facebook, yeah.
Yeah. So I really liked how you emphasized in the last sentence the word may, so that we don't get complacent. And that reminded me the Srimad-Bhagavatam verse, like our devotional service has to be hetuki apratihata, unmotivated and uninterrupted for it to be satisfying our soul. So that connected for me. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, very good, because we can do items of devotional service. We can be doing certain things that look like devotional service, but which are not devotional service. For example, I can be meditating to get mystic powers, and that's a material desire. Right? But here, what we are talking about is in chapter 6 is Dhyan Yoga, and Dhyan Yoga is Dhyan Yoga means that I am trying to meditate on the super soul, right? So your reflection, which I'm repeating, ahetuki apratihata, right? Our devotional service should be unmotivated, right, and uninterrupted. That's your takeaway, which is true. Yeah, we should do that. Any other reflections?
Mataji, I have a question, but if you don't have time, it's okay. You can answer it next time. But I want to ask because I have the question following what Mataji just mentioned. So Dhruv Maharaj, when he meditated upon the Lord, he also had material desire in his mind. But then, but ultimately he got the pure devotional service, devotion to the Lord. And so how do we connect this? And because in the beginning he also was actually
material,
wanting the material, right?
Yeah, he wanted the material. And then when did that change happen in Dhruva? When he sees the Lord, and then what happens? Something happened.
The Lord appeared.
Lord appeared in front of him.
He met the
He
Guru.
meets the Guru before, which is Narada, and Narada first time he's testing him, and he says like, big deal. Dhruv Maharaj was unhappy, and he wanted a kingdom better than his great grandfather, which is Brahma. because his stepmother was rude to him and his father had not protested or taken Dhruva's side. So he was very heartbroken and he said, I want to get that, right? And so Narad Muni in the beginning tells him that, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. You are a young boy, and young boys get scolded by their parents. Parents say all kinds of things. So if you're young, then you forget it. Just be a child, go back and play. I mean, parents, sometimes they might even give a little, thump on the back to a kid, and the kids again go back and they hug their parents. And what's the big deal there? And then he said that if you think you are an adult at 5 years, then understand the situation as an adult. The king loves the other woman, who is your stepmother. He doesn't love your mom. So you have to understand that this is what happens in real life. So he's testing him, but he says, no. All those things don't work for me. I'm a Kshatriya. Revenge is what I want. Sweet revenge is all that Dhruv Maharaj was asking. And then Narad Muni understands, and he says, okay, he is serious. This guy is serious. And then he gives him the mantra to chant. What's the mantra he gives him? Very famous mantra. Yeah, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Yeah, there you go, right? So that's the mantra that he gives him to chant. And then he starts chanting. He was doing austerities, right? Because he was hell-bent on, I need this, and I need this, right? Revenge, revenge, and revenge. And then, of course, 6 months, by the time he's 6 months old, 6 months into his practice, what happens? Because he was so steady in his devotional service, Nishtha was there, right? Very, very steady in his devotional service. Then what happens? That when you go to those levels of devotional service, there is some heat that starts coming out of you. And what did that heat start to do? It started bothering him. It started bothering the people in other planets.
Yeah, that happened in planet.
Right? Like that. So that's what happened. So then the Lord appeared. Then other people said to Lord, this guy is doing so much. Please go. Please show yourself to him. Better show yourself to him. Otherwise we all will die like that, right? So then the Lord appears, right? Especially Garbha. He appears in that beautiful form. And then Dhruv Maharaj sees him, right? He sees that. He sees the beautiful form of the Lord. And what does he say? When he looks at the Lord, what does Dhruv Maharaj say? He realizes something. What does he say?
He says, I was looking for stones when I was getting I can get diamonds.
Yeah, he says that here is a diamond which has come in front of me. So he has got that. He got that realization, Priyanka Mataji, that he should not pursue that, right? And he was a small boy. When he sees Krishna in front of him, he falls flat like a rod and Dandavat. And then he just doesn't know. He's a small boy. He holds Krishna's feet like that with one hand. He just doesn't even know. Like, when the God appears in front of you, you're supposed to pray to him. He doesn't know anything like that to do, right? And then, let me see if I can bring up that verse, because what happens is that the Lord touches the forehead of Dhruv Maharaj with his conch shell, right? Let me just go and grab it, I think it's in the 4th canto, but which chapter? Hey, Dhruv Maharaj. Yeah, okay, got it. 494, easy one to remember. Coming up your way on your WhatsApp message. Oops, sorry, send it to the wrong group. Oops, here we go. Okay, please confirm that you got it. Please confirm. Did I send it to you at all, or did I send it to the wrong message again?
Yes.
You got it? You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So let's see the translation. Although Dhruv Maharaj was a small boy, he wanted to offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a suitable language. Right? I want to do some slokas to glorify the Lord. But because he was inexperienced, he could not adjust himself immediately. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, could understand Dhruv Maharaj's awkward position. Out of his causeless mercy, he touched his conch shell to the forehead of Dhruv Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands. Purport. Every devotee wants to chant the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Devotees are always interested in hearing about the Lord's transcendental qualities, and they are always eager to glorify these qualities, but sometimes they feel inconvenienced by humbleness. The personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, specially gives a devotee intelligence to describe him. It is therefore understood, and the verse from Bhagavad-Gita, Varshana Mataji, what is the verse that says, I give intelligence from within the heart? Okay, you can think about it. It is therefore understood that when a devotee writes or speaks about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his words are dictated by the Lord from within. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-Gita 10th chapter. To those who constantly engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord from within dictates what to do next in order to serve him. When Dhruv Maharaj felt hesitant, not knowing how to describe the Lord for want of sufficient experience, the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, touched his conch shell to Dhruv's forehead, and he was transcendentally inspired, right? So from the material, because of the touch of the conch shell, right? He's now becoming
pranam bodhayant parasparam.
Very nice. Yes, that's the one we were looking for. Yeah.
Katyantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha.
Yeah. So we are looking for the verse after that. Tesham satata yuktana.
Tesham satata yuktanam bhajtam priti purvakam dadami buddhi-yogam tam yena mama upayanti te.
Right. So what I would like you to do for the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, Varshana Mataji, is to now tie the meanings of these verses with the verse itself, right? So that you know which verse is meaning which one, right?
Okay.
That's good homework for you to do. Yeah. This transcendental inspiration is called Brahma Maya, because when one is thus inspired, the sound he produces exactly correspond to the sound vibrations of the Vedas. This is not an ordinary sound vibration of the material world. Therefore, the sound vibration of Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, although presented in ordinary alphabet, should be taken as mundane, should not be taken as mundane or material. I rest my case, Priyanka Mataji. He was transcendentally inspired by the Lord.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So we should just wish. And actually, of the four things that he has in his hands, right? He has a shankha, he's a chakra, he's a gada, and he's a lotus, right? So two are really used for, killing. And then two can be used for beneficial purposes. And as we can see, the shankh, the Lord used the shankh in this case for inspiring him and bringing him to a transcendental platform. And then, of course, after that, he becomes aware of he understands all the Vedas just by the touch. He understands all the Vedic conclusion. He understands the absolute truth. He understands his relationships. So after you understand the relationship, then why would you want to ask him for anything? And that's what he does. But then Krishna says that, no, I'm still going to give you. I'm still going to give you. And he goes. And although he did all that, there was still some anger in him. There was still some anger in Dhruv Maharaj. So he goes back and rules for about 35,000 years. And during those times, some yakshas, actually kill kill somebody, and he gets angry and he goes and starts to indiscriminately kill the yakshas. And then Brahma has to come and, give him some lessons and some teachings there. So, yeah, so Dhruv Maharaj's pastime has got, more messages to transmit for us than just that first part, right? When he goes there. And then after he gets touched with it, then he starts praying very nicely. And then, of course, he will refuse to take things like that. Yeah. So there's a question on Facebook, and it is like, why not chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya? Is there a spiritual reason to chant Hare Rama chant, right? So there are, for every yuga that we have, there is a particular yuga dharma, which we follow. And for Kali Yuga, which is there, we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and in this order: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, right? And in the prior yugas, where the stakes are very high, then when you start pronouncing these kinds of shlokas that start with Om, you have to be very careful about how you chant them. You have to be listening and meditating on them before you chant. And also, not everybody can chant these kind of verses. If you know that in the previous yugas, Vedic information was not available for everybody. Only Brahmanas could read the Vedas. And there was a reason for that, right? And Shudras were not allowed to read that. Which means that in Kali Yuga, if we were to follow the same law in Kali Yuga, nobody would read, because everybody in Kali Yuga is a Shudra, right? Because the way we are born. And so the bar gets lowered, and we are offered a more simpler, as compared to the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya verse, we are offered a more simpler verse, which is Hare Krishna, Hare Rama Mahamantra, because it is very merciful. This mantra is merciful for us in this particular yuga. So that's why we go for this mantra and not a more complicated one, because we'll mess it up then like that. Any other last question or any reflection that you have? Let me see if somebody's writing. Sometimes you write on WhatsApp also, and I'm just looking to see. Okay, no, nothing there. And I think I've covered everything, which I guess we have. Be vigilant of your thoughts. Yes, that's right, Devotee Mataji. Okay, so if there are no more reflections, then maybe we can call it a day today on this call. And we will meet again tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will discuss Bhagavad-Gita continuing discussions. Thank you so much for joining and for sharing your reflections and your asking questions. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha. Okay, everybody. Thank you. Give me a Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.